Sat Shri Akal,
Hi, I'm Maneesha.
and welcome to our podcast, Two Best Friends podcast, where we talk about all the millennial issues, concerns, fun parts, and everyday, any day sort of chats.
Yes, and here we are today, another episode of our chats and our yarning of different, stories or different things that have touched us recently. And today we're going to talk about our recent travel to
Yes.
Uzbekistan. But before we do that, we would like to talk about our silver lining of the week.
Yes. I'll go first with silver lining. I just had a very beautiful feeling today when I was at the gym. So, the gym that I go to, it's sort of like a group sessions that everybody comes together and works out together. And I just have to say, like, I've been to many gyms, many groups. This has been absolutely hands down the best thing ever, especially in the mornings. That crew, it is just so beautiful where everybody comes, takes some time out, comes for the class. Coaches are absolutely amazing. They are so good. And today it touched my heart because it was us women working out, lifting weights, and really encouraging each other. And that was just so beautiful. Like everybody just pushing it. There was a point when I was like, oh, you know what? This weight is enough. Like today we had to do deadlifts, and I was like, oh, this is enough. I'm not going to do any more. Or even the chest press. Oh, that I'm not going to do any more. This is what I've been doing. That's fine. And the girls around me, they were just like, no, this is too easy. We can push. And then I was pushing somebody else. And that just the feeling of having that a community where I felt so belonged and I felt so proud of. And it was just so beautiful. It was like a little our own village. So that moment was very, I feel like it touched my heart and it made me feel very grateful in that moment that I belong to that community. That gratitude was my such a beautiful silver lining.
And it's such a good beautiful, like such a nice feeling when a group of people or a group of, you just kind of, you're there to cheer for each other, and that's it. Like there is no other thoughts behind it or anything, and that's a nice feeling in itself. And yeah.
Yeah, and everybody coming from different backgrounds, different ages. It's just so nice. Like 72-year-old encouraging you and mucking around with you, like joking, where you think like you can only do that with your like peers, like same age peers. But then there, different backgrounds, different countries, different ages just come together, encourage each other, and we have laughter like to the point where it's like we don't even realize we're working out. It's just an hour of like fun feel like a group thing. It's just so good, just
Yeah.
heartwarming.
And I think that's something actually I was just thinking in my head. Also, something I love about Australia is that, like, I feel like that is something you'd get in Australia in spaces, different spaces. But is one is the different age groups coming together at these places, and it's almost like you're right. At least in South Asian culture, there has been a bit of there's always a shift in different age groups and how you interact. I feel like in Australia, you can really connect with different ages without going beyond that and have really good connections and that different backgrounds as well. Like, I think that's just very unique from my experience, and it's a very nice experience in itself as well.
Absolutely, it's like a thought broadening experience when you see different people from different backgrounds. So
Yeah.
yes, yeah, that was
Um,
my silver lining. What was yours? Apart from being in India and eating beautiful Indian food, what else is there?
swear that was my silver lining for this week.
No way. Stop it. I think food should be banned as a
No,
silver lining. Just
That's
don't.
my that's my happiness. That's my happiness getting good food. And it lights up my whole week for that matter. And I think for this week it is literally I was gonna Sita Phal ice cream. I just had it and it was like because I'm a vanilla ice cream lover. So I
Yes,
only
you
like
are.
vanilla ice cream. I do not I'm
You're a
not
basic
I don't
bitch.
have anything else. Yeah, that's it. Sita Phal ice cream.
Hang on, can I ask you? Tell me the English name of Sitapal.
No idea. What
Is
is
it
Sita
custard
Phal?
apple?
Maybe it is. Custard apple, maybe. Google it, find out. Maybe we'll ask our listeners. No, you can't Google it right now, Attar.
Oh, sorry.
We will ask our listeners to tell us if Sitafal is custard apple. But yeah, that's my highlight. It's my silver lining. It's having this ice cream, and I really enjoyed it. It was delicious, and I'm, just kind of basically enjoying that moment and enjoying the food that I've been provided right now.
Okay, so
That's
what
about
I'm
it.
listening from and what I'm hearing is that my soul is being called to come to Goa to try the Sita.
I've got to say, we traveled, we went, didn't know where it was, and we went to this particular shop where we could find it. And that ice creamery was like at least 30, 40 minutes away from our house. It was the craziest traffic jam and craziest thing. The part of Goa that we will not ever go again.
Yeah.
But it was like, but I'm like, okay, now that we've come, we'll get a few tubs and take it to our house because this is it.
Paranyana.
But anyway, so yeah, I think it's brilliant. I just love these mixes of, when there's an Indian touch to ice creams or food. Sometimes I'm enjoying that. That's where
Can I
my
actually tell you a crazy story? I don't know if you know this or not. I can't remember. Do you know what kanefa is? Kanefe?
yeah, I know it's a
That's a
Turkish
Middle
or
Eastern dessert.
Middle
I think that's
Eastern. Yeah, it's
Palestinian dessert. So they had this kiosk in Chadston Shopping Center years ago, right? I had it. Me and my friend Arishma, we both had it, and it was so bloody delicious. It's like creamy, it's like creme brulee, but like a Middle Eastern version of that. It
yeah.
was so good. I couldn't find that in Melbourne again. Next best thing was in Sydney. And one random weekend, I actually drove to Sydney to eat it.
I can imagine you do that.
So if you tell me about Sitafal,
You
I
have to
can
come
calm
here.
down. I
That's
can
good.
calm down. I
That's good.
travel and live for food. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's my little story. But with the travel, today's our topic is about travel. It's about our recent travel to Uzbekistan.
It is, and interestingly, we have a story about that. I'm gonna park it for later. About this again, another food story that we had in one city where we went with the taxi driver round and round, round, looking for this one shop that we actually never found.
Manisha, just say it now. Now we've almost told the story.
So basically, we went to the shop. What was it, Atar, again?
Baklava.
Baklavas. Okay, so we went the first time. If anyone's listening and have heard me, I'm not a big sweet eater, but Atar loves her sweet
Yes, I
stuff.
am a sweet tooth. Manisha says she's not, but then she will end up finishing your plate. Anyway, continue story.
That's what she says. Anyways, we went to this place, baklava. First day, really good. Enjoyed it.
So many different
They
varieties of it.
varieties of it. It was really good. It's amazing baklava. Had that. Next day, now we are. This is at Samarkand, and next day we find another shop of the same place online. Or it shows that it is. Or we saw it actually driving. We were driving somewhere and we saw this. And we're like, oh, we'll come here next time. Then we in the evening we looked for it online, and this is like no one speaks your language there, right? So it's really hard to explain where you want to go. But anyways, we put it on our app, went to that place, but it wasn't the place we expected it. And then we are like telling the guy there is this blue color building next to it, and there is this thing, and this guy does not understand our English. And we literally, not just this guy, we went with three different taxi drivers, went round the city, never found it. Eventually went back to the place we had gone the first time. And then we saw it in the end. I think when the day we were leaving, we just looked at it one day because we passed it and we were like, okay, that's
It
it.
was like 800 meters away from our hotel. We could have walked there. It was
We
that
could
close, but we went around and around on several taxis and confusing the shit out of
never found the place.
drivers.
So the yeah, so like we said, we can go to many extents to find food that we enjoy.
But it was an experience. It was an experience on many different levels, which we will touch because when we were planning to go to Uzbekistan, going to Uzbekistan was actually essentially my idea because I'd seen so many beautiful mosques and stuff on Instagram, and I was like, we have to go. It's not that expensive. It is so close to India, only like 3 hours away from New Delhi. I was like, we must go. Manisha had no idea, and I was like, you know what? You just come along. I will do all the research. And when I was doing the research, there was nothing out there. There was nothing, not much. No, nothing is a wrong word. There was not much true information. Everything was very क्या बोलते हैं जिसको ad के दे के बोलते हैं promoted. That was very
Promoted.
promoted like stuff there. It was even on booking.com or even the website, everything was all paid ads. There was no real feedback as to what Uzbekistan is like, how things work there. So lack of that, we just went into like eyes closed, like, okay, whatever the best we could get, we'll just do it. And that's where I felt like there is a need to actually have a serious and honest conversation about Uzbekistan as to what is out there, what to expect. So I'll ask you, Manisha, what did you expect and what did you get on the first day?
I've got to say, I had a very, what's the word, stereotypical view of Uzbekistan. Also, because geography is not my strong suit, one. Two, I had no idea about where, what, Uzbekistan, nothing about it. It was not on my radar at all. And when Atar said, and I'm like, are you sure? Is it safe? Are you 100% like, do I need to, do anything? And then I actually said, I'm not going to research. So I actually did no research about Uzbekistan. I literally went eyes closed. It's funny how Atta says that she also went eyes closed because I was hoping that she would know everything and I kind of just left it to her. And she pretended like she knew everything, but now I'm finding out that she didn't.
No,
And she was
like there was not much information. No, but and even during like when we were on a flight, there was like really bad thunderstorms, right? So it was a night flight, bad thunderstorms, and we were just. It felt like very unsafe. That in that time, my thinking, and even before that, when I was looking into it and I couldn't find anything on Uzbekistan, my thinking was I asked Manisha to take her hand out. I was like, "This is the lifeline. This is very long. We are not going to die, so that's out of this.
that was
अगर मरे
that
नहीं,
was
जो भी
exactly.
होगा, that's going to be an experience. So we went with the mindset of ठीक है चलो experience ही है, मरते तो है नहीं है, इतनी तो उम्र है ही है. So yeah, so it was a little bit of like, let's see what is out there.
Which fortunately for us was actually turned out to be very good and pretty good. Much, it was not the typical stereotypical. So I think it is a place worth visiting. It's worth experiencing one time. It's interesting how their history, it's quite connected to our history, but it's also their version is so different to our version, which is like if you've been born and brought up in India, you would hear and you'd be like, what really, which also question makes you question the whole history and how we taught history in itself. That's what my experience was, it right, because their Temurali is really big, whereas our experience of Temurali is very different, right? But Indians are quite celebrated. It's got a very celebrity like experience there, but altogether it was a really good experience. It's a mix, from my experience, a mix of West and East, Middle East, East. It's a bit of a
Yeah,
mix. And the
very
most
European.
surprising part for me was seeing 90% of the same type of car. It was just so
Yes,
weird seeing
Chevrolet,
Chevrolet
Chevrolet
everywhere.
everywhere.
95% is that. I mean, this is just off the my own percentage, but most cars are like, it's weird seeing that. Like, it was a very different experience. But yeah, that's it. But Atar, I think the first bit is if you get into it, like I think because you were part of the planning and stuff, what is the first step you would say to people? Like, what is that first step you do for Uzbekistan? I mean, of course, book your ticket.
Yes. Book your ticket, definitely. And this is a must thing. If you're Australian or anywhere, and if you're going to India, or even if you are in India, it is literally 3 hours away from India, from Delhi, actually. And even like 3, 4 days are more than enough. So when I was planning, I think the first thing was how many days in which city. So we thought Tashkent is going to be metro city and let's go out. Like, sorry, I should not say we because that was just my thinking that metro city should stay away from it because we live in a metro city. We want to experience authenticity. So might as well go outside of Tashkent. So I plan like we'll go to Tashkent, we'll see Tashkent for a night, and then we'll go to Samarkand. Samarkand is the perfect blend of other two cities around it. And I thought, like, if we go to Samarkand, then we can do day trip to the other cities if we want to, or we can stay there if we like. So that was the big thing to begin with, as to knowing how long to spend in which city. But I think after we've been there, I would say if somebody is planning, plan more days for Tashkent than Samarkand. Go
So we did it.
Samarkand.
5 days?
We did total 5 days, and we did 2 nights in Tashkent and 3 nights in Samarkand. I think 2 nights should have been more than enough for Samarkand. The places to see, it's all Kabristan. Registan is beautiful,
Beautiful.
but it's a different
They're quite
kind of
pretty.
Kabristans. The
Yeah.
Kabristans are beautiful. Taimur Ali's Kabristan inside, it's like gold. It is stunning. It's historical places. Definitely, they've modified it to have it more like a touristy touch now. But I would say more than Samarkand, I felt Tashkent to be more, I feel like, entertaining in a way. There were a lot more things to see in Tashkent.
And
Tashkent
we
has a
needed
lot
more
more.
time there.
Huh?
Yeah. We needed more time there.
We needed more time, and even the places, like regional places around Tashkent, the natural places, hiking places, are a lot more in Tashkent. Samarkand is more drier end. It's
It's
that
more dead.
Registan end. Yeah. So when you're planning, I would say that unless you really like outdoor, like a regional area, then definitely go with Samarkand. And but this is also based on the people that we spoke to in Samarkand and as well as in Tashkent. And they said like once you are in Samarkand, the other cities, I think it's the other city is Khiva. They all,
Kiva.
yeah,
We
they
didn't
all are same. Yeah, they all are same. It's the Tashkent is so stunning that that's the city I feel like it's a perfect blend of Asia and Europe. Roads are so clean. It's a smart city in my opinion. The nightlife is so beautiful. Mosques are there. The madrasas are being made, and that even in making, in construction, that looked so stunning. And that market that we went to on a last day, such
that
a magic city. It's such a kid friendly place. It's got like shopping there, little concert happening, and even like a amusement park there. So it's like overall it caters for everybody.
what would you say financially, like currency and stuff? How much, is it something you take your cash with you? Or I would say it was better to take cash, wasn't it? Like I know we did card payments in a lot of places,
Okay,
but
that is very tricky actually, and I didn't know, and I was very surprised. So when you go to get your currency exchanged on the airport, like Indira Gandhi Airport, if you're an Indian passport holder, you actually can't exchange, or maybe that was the kiosk that I went to. You cannot exchange the currency unless you are a non-resident of India. Secondly, Uzbek currency, you cannot actually get it there. You can only get it in Uzbekistan. So what you can exchange is Indian rupees to Australia, not Australian, sorry, American US dollars, and you can use US dollars in Uzbekistan. But I would say that just have a small amount exchanged outside of airport. So plan ahead. Don't rely on like the airport kiosks like I did. Go and get your currency exchanged beforehand, just a small amount. But once you are in Uzbekistan, if you are going to the hotel, they will give you the US dollars for use. But the best thing that we found was that if you use your credit card or debit card in the ATM machines, which are available everywhere, you can get the amount out, like the Uzbek currency, which I found was the best way to go about it. So only small
because
amount and then take it as you go.
because you will get a lot of random people actually asking you, especially in markets and all that, if you want to exchange. And I think at least we did a bit of comparison, and they didn't sound like they were doing it on the right prices as well. So my bet is our ATM. Get it from your country of wherever you're coming from, Australia, India, wherever else, US. It gets a little bit of money at least. $50 or $100 or what, $50 I think is more than enough to start with, and then go from there.
Yeah. The other thing that I would very strongly suggest before even entering Uzbekistan is have the app downloaded for all the transport needs. You cannot use Uber, you cannot use Grab. They have a very specific um, app that you can only use there, but you can download it in your own country. And I say in your own country because you need to have a SIM number, not local, sorry, as in like your SIM number to get the authentication code. Once you get it, then you can like get it started, and you need Yandex Go for everything. Even like that's your Uber Eats and that is your Uber to get around there. And using that is so cheap. Like it's dirt cheap. Manisha and I, we could use like taxis all day and only maybe spend like $4 or $5.
Yeah, it's very
That's all.
very affordable. And taxis is the way to go, but you do need a Yandex Go. And it's like we struggled a bit with that because we had to go and do, and someone local really helped us out and was quite helpful. But if you can, advice is go get it before you come in, so it's sorted.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. The other thing, if you have Yandex, then you won't rely on the airport transfer. Like we booked airport transfer. It was so expensive now when I think about it. On the way back from hotel to airport, we paid about equivalent of five or even less than $5 to the airport. But at the start from airport to the hotel, that was about $30. So that's how much they charge. So don't try to think that, oh yeah, it's better to go with it. If you must have like a any sort of like a transfer, the other mistake I made was I did it through booking.com, thinking that was a hotel transfer. Now in hindsight, I feel like I should have done the hotel transfer rather than the booking.com. But if you can get Yandex, then get use Yandex. Don't yeah, it turns out to be super expensive. And Tashkent is so small, like in comparison to, say, other cities, that getting from A to B is not that hard and it shouldn't be that expensive.
So it is, and I think yeah, Uber like cars. I think that's the best way of transport. We did take metro, of course, in Tashkent. It's beautiful from a viewpoint of view, and if you want to see all those beautiful stations and stuff, it's worth taking it. But otherwise, for transport, I think taxis are the best.
Yeah, local definitely taxi. Intercity, I feel like train was so amazing. I anyway think that the train transport is like sort of a must when you're traveling because that's how you get to see the regional sort of like that country. And it was beautiful just to see the regional area of Uzbekistan where it was like corn, like crops
I do
and
think that's where, when you're booking your flights, when you book your flight to Uzbekistan, is when you should also book your train tickets,
yes,
because and there is a
100%.
bullet train option as well. If you can go for that, just because I feel like that is the other thing that's going to go quick, and you may as well get yourself on it as soon as you can.
100%. That does book out very, very in advance, the bullet train. We missed out on the bullet train because it was booked out, and we were booking out like 2 months in advance and it's still booked out. We didn't mind it because I still didn't mind like 4 hours of travel because the trains were clean, they were amazing. But bullet train is good and it's better to book it in advance if you are trying to get from A to B within like a shorter period of time. However, saying that, even the normal train that we took, even that can sell out quite fast because the train on the way back from Samarkand to Tashkent had booked out all the slots, so we had to take the early morning one, which we wouldn't have
Mm,
taken if the tickets were available. So again, when you are booking the flight tickets, try to book the train tickets as well at the same time.
yeah, yeah. I think the next thing, which is very close to our heart, and I've realized when I'm traveling, is food. I'm someone who's a self-acclaimed non-picky eater, but the more I travel, the more I realize I'm a picky eater, especially when I'm traveling. I get very like specific about food. And in Uzbekistan, even though I can eat non-veg, I am not, I prefer vegetarian, and if I don't understand, struggled a bit some places. I think my highlight in food, honestly, was their dry fruits. Their
Yeah.
dry fruits are the best dry fruits I've had in my life. They were brilliant. They were fresh. They were amazing. Every hotel that we went to had really good dry fruits. Except for that, I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, food was very, very limited. Like, yeah, we had to stick to Indian and Italian. especially Samarkand. Samarkand was like they even considered egg as vegetarian. So that's yeah, even fish. So for that matter, I would say definitely book a hotel that has a variety of buffet, like breakfast buffet, because they at least you're having one meal with the satisfaction that it is good, it is what you want, and the people there are so amazing. Like they are so warm, and they will go to lengths to accommodate for what you need. The apart from food, one thing I look out for the quality of is coffee, and I was not disappointed. But if you are a chai drinker person, good luck. Good luck.
We're gonna get
Because their chai is not what you get in India. I don't even
no.
drink chai, and I felt for Nisha.
What is the chai? I can't. It's gone out of my
It's
brain. But what's the
black.
what
It's black. And if you want, it's a black tea. And if you try to put any like a milk in it, it's just
forget about?
ubla hua still pani. We went to this one place.
It. The
We
good
went to
thing is
this
I'm not. Yeah, yeah.
we went to Farida Khanum Cafe, and I felt bad for Manisha. I was like, poor Manisha, she's not had chai in like whatever. I would have died if I hadn't had coffee in that many days, like a good one. And I explained to the guy, I was like, look, just
We went
boil the milk, put this much, this, gave him the instructions, and what comes out was white colored, white colored like milk with saffron in it. As soon as I saw it, I looked at Manisha, I was like, this is terrible. I can just tell this is terrible.
This is not gonna work. No, chai is not something you're gonna get. So any chai lovers, forget about it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I agree. I think yeah, the coffee was good,
coffee was very
but
good and strong.
also dry fruits outstanding. Like I actually am regretting not buying more dry fruits there. Like there is that market in the Tashkent where you can buy lots of, and I'm regretting that I didn't get more because we in my house it was finished in a day. Like everyone just loved it so much. So yeah, so one thing I think is if you get there, get dry fruits. Like it's brilliant.
Yeah. Even if you go travel there just to get dry fruits, I think that's a good bargain.
My God, it's amazing. So if you are going there, if anyone I know, please bring us dry fruits.
But now, otherwise, food, we had to stick to Italian, Indian, and last day, not last day, then we came back to Tashkent and we had Thai. My God, Manisha, I still think of that Thai food. It was so good.
Yeah, for a second I forgot. I'm like, what is she talking about? Oh yes,
That
yes.
Thai food was so brilliant.
Evolved as a traveler over the years, and I think one evolution that has happened in me is I would try maybe once, but I'm like, till the time I'm not satisfied with food, my whole day is not going to be good
No.
enough, right? So now I'm like, nah, I'm going to eat what I enjoy, what I like, what I'm satisfied with, so I can have fun in the day, and then that's it. Like, I'll try it once, maybe whatever the local thing is, and if it doesn't work for me, no, thank you, I'm going to move.
Yeah. The local food, the traditional food was just not for us. It's very meat
Anyone
heavy. It was a no go. But apart from food, just the overall vibe was just fantastic. It was, people did not know English. There was a bit of that communication barrier, but it was fun. You could tell that they didn't know English, or we didn't have that common language to interact with, because that's how untouched it is. That's how less tourists go there. Even like nighttime, we went to the beautiful, like very famous monument, Registan. The amount of people that were there, it was not a lot. We still could get good photos, good videos, capture everything. Being the peak hour, that's how like less traveled it is. And apparently it opened for the tourists quite recently in
yeah,
2018. And now they are
yeah.
advertising for more tourists, as in like for people to go and visit, and absolute a must place. And even the weather we got when we
It
went
was
was
actually
beautiful.
nice. It was brilliant. So we went in September.
Yeah.
It was actually amazing. It was warm, but it had that cold vibe to it, and it was actually perfect. Really enjoyed that. I agree. I think the weather was another highlight, and the people. I feel as especially because we went as if you think about traveling, it was quite safe. Like most travels, most driving in our taxis, there was a very safe feeling in the country, which is really important. I think, especially as a woman, and that that was I'd never, except for our first ride, where I was a bit like. I think every ride, every taxi, everywhere we went, night, day, it was pretty good.
People were just so helpful. They were just amazing. Even I loved people watching because that's one of my favorite things when I'm traveling. I love people watching. But when you go to the places that are so famous and you try to people watch, you're just people watching tourists. You're not people watching locals. But in this case, we could people watch the locals, and it was so amazing. Like this style, the sense of style, how they were, it took me back to the retro time, like our 70s, like the fabric, yeah, clothing and hairstyle and everything. It was a mix of Indian, like that chenille work that
Yeah,
women were
you're right.
wearing, traditional women. Yeah. And then some of the fashion were like very Korean inspired with the big bows. It was just amazing. I absolutely love people watching. And then we were wearing, because it's a Muslim country, we thought like, okay, let's better take our conservative clothes. I had made suits, so I was like, I had to put them to use somewhere. And the attention and the love we got was,
We got people coming and taking photos with us, which was
yeah.
my first experience of being in
And
another country.
they were saying not India, not Indian as us. They were saying Hindustan. And I was like, that's actually nice. Like people saying just Hindustan as if like we are known as Hindustan. So that's a
Yeah.
really good feeling. It was really, really good.
It was a good feeling to be recognized in that space, and just in a very positive manner, right? It was kids coming to us doing practice runs of the English. It was cute. No, I think generally the people are quite welcoming. It's an amazing place, so I think it's worth visiting once. Worth, even their transport system is really good. What the trains and all that, their train stations are so clean, so sorted. The access is so, it's very disability or all abilities,
Inclusive and yeah.
which is amazing, right? For a country that's not been as open to the world and stuff. So it's
Mm,
been really good altogether. It's worth visiting. It's almost closer to Delhi than some other states in India itself. Like it took me longer hours to get from Kerala to there than it took from Uzbekistan to Delhi. So if you are in Delhi or around this area, it's worth checking out this place.
100%. And I was even thinking that my sister, she's a wheelchair user, and I was thinking like that's a perfect country for her as well. Because the RAM system, everything is so inclusive, even the getting from like one platform to the other. There are less stuff for walking people with the suitcases than it is for people using wheelchairs. So that's how good it was. And even the buildings were just like amazing. They were so good to look at. So it's a really good combination of historical monuments and historical places and well developed sites and the buildings and the night light show. And then that night show we went to, Manisha, the Seoul Street, it was so beautiful, like the Korean street.
Yeah.
So just so much to do, so much to see, especially for Indians. Definitely check it out.
Quite financially quite okay to go there. So,
Yeah, the biggest cost I think we had to put in was tickets and the hotels. Once you're there, so cheap. So,
yeah.
so cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. So worth checking out another country and opening your horizons like I did. And yeah, I think that's kind of it about Uzbekistan. Any last words, Atar, before we finish?
Definitely go experience it. Central Asia, it's so untouched and so beautiful and so close to home. Definitely visit it. 100%.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening to us on this episode. Tune in onto YouTube, Spotify, share it with your friends, and give us some feedback and tell us what the English word for Sitafal is.
Yes.
Take care, everyone. Lovely speaking to you today.
Bye.
Bye.